Old man from the mountain.
That's, I guess, my idea is anything it's what other people see as unique and they're interested in. As far as all the things I've made, I pictured all in my head. I mean, I was only been blind since I was 16, but up to that point, we got to travel a lot all over the United States and tribes they're talking about without, I know colors and know what things look like without having to have something in my hand to see what it looks like.
I've never heard Rick ever say, "I wish I wasn't blind." He's never said, "I wish this never happened."
There wasn't nothing no one else could do that Rick couldn't do. I said, no, he can't see. They said, well, sometimes he acts like he can see.
In spring 2005, I drove out to Crooksville, Ohio to meet an artist named Rick Crooks. That's Rick.
But we was loading shotgun shells. We had our own shell loader, loading shotgun shells to shoot clay pigeons with. You know what those are?
Yeah.
This round disc. And me and my brother and two friends was upstairs in our bedroom over there in our house. Excuse me. It was my brother's pistol, but we both shot it. So we either one of us had left a shell in it, or our friend had put the boy that was looking at it said put a shell in it. I don't know which it was. It don't make a difference. From that eyelid right there, it went in that eye and come out in front of this ear, and then that was just automatically or instantly blind.
If I had a choice, this wouldn't have happened. But there wasn't a choice because it definitely was just an accident, one that couldn't be helped.
Mom was fixing Sunday dinner. Dad and Mom was divorced at the time, and ran in to the bottom of the stairs. We was all upstairs in the bedroom, and she ran into the bottom stairs, and she said all four of them, or all three of them, the two boys and my brother, all come out at the same time. Said Rick got shot, and what she ran in for, she heard the gun go off, but she knew we had firecrackers up there, and she knew that we had gunpowder up there, and she was coming in to tell us not to be. And she ran upstairs, and by that time I was laying on the floor, and I asked her to help me get up on the bed, and because I was still conscious, I don't remember too much about it, but I was still conscious, and she got me up on the bed, rolled me over one or two, and there was blood coming out my ear and over on this side, and it just, so I went to call the squad. The first place she got a hold of was a funeral home. I don't know how that happened, but it's probably an emergency number we had there some way, and that's the first place we got. Well, I wasn't ready for that yet.
I don't know if I knew to be, worried about Rick in school, because he was my brother and we loved him, and Bill was just as strong-willed then as he is now, so.
I had an advantage as far as I've seen a lot of things. Not the biggest, but one big thing is just my family. Everybody was, especially my mom, but my dad too, but especially my mom. She feels so.
Rick and I just talked just about, he didn't want to make things, and he didn't want to be the stereotype of mine. could do that. You know, this guy's getting $50 for this, you know. So on Mother's Day, someone came round. They were in a Jeep. Rick was standing up and back, holding a big yellow bird, and that was his first project.
And
Mountain
from the
Creations.
Mountains Creations.
It's just what I call all my creations. I've always liked Merle Haggard singing, and he sings a song called Old Man from the Mountain. My wife and family just sort of picked up on, started calling me the Old Man from the Mountain. And we typed the name, so that's what we called it. Well, I was raised on a farm, so I know what everything. And like I say, the first one I started, I just made a Springer, made the big bird for Mom for Mother's Day, and then we made the Springer Spaniel, which is a dog made out of all springs. I'm trying to think of different things that I'm glad that I can make something out of. It's just a challenge. Maybe more of a challenge than a passion, just a challenge to try to come up with something that somebody recognizes, so you don't have to tell them that's a bird or that's a grasshopper or whatever. I guess that's enjoyable if you can create something and somebody actually has an idea what it is. Once I seen people was interested, almost an obsession. Everything I couldn't pick anything up. I'm still at that point. I can't really pick something up without thinking what it could be.
I'd say we probably made
300 if you're counting the bugs and all that stuff too.
I'm not surprised some of the pieces are as big as they are, because when I was little, Rick was always like my big brother, and I had a dog named Freckles, and we decided to build her a dog box. And she weighed probably around the dog.
Yeah.
I kind of like this
You like the big one?
big dinosaur.
Yeah, I sort of like the things that are big.
What is it, Rick? 170 shovel heads.
It was like 9.5 foot tall, and the thing's about 9 foot long from head to tail. Other than the fact they like that type of art, they're amazing.
Somebody really tries to do something with their life after they've been afflicted.
He's just a really nice person, and the things he does are beautiful. Art, I assume you're going to include his art in his swans. I'm just really pleased to know him.
About Rick's artwork is the material he uses to make it. Taking recycling to the next level, Rick prides himself in rusty old artifacts that make up his animal kingdom.
One person in particular just drops a bunch of stuff off of the front garage every once in a while. He brought some stuff like hammers and hatchet heads, pitchforks, iron skillets, 3 buckets full of railroad spikes, springs off the trampoline, shoe lasts, old shoe repair people, shoemakers, whatever, used to cobblers used to use them for repair the pump. These are mower, that's all piece of farm equipment, a mower guard. 193 drill bits in here. Gas cans down in here with some each bodies. Many buckets. It's called a brace and bit. This is a brace and this is a bit, of course. A couple people said a pair of needle nose pliers. His head's actually that head is a chicken feeder, or rabbit feeder, I mean. Turtles made out of army helmets. Oh, they're router blades off like a wood router. This one here is just a garden cultivator. The hay knife, I think so. I can justify buying anything. Whether I need it or not, you give me a few minutes, I can come up with an excuse why I have to have it.
Now, how do you make a frog?
The top of the body and the bottom of the body are just blades. Piece of equipment just ground with. We took it apart and welded or put a hinge on the top and bottom so it would open up. And we used I think here, the tongue is a shoe off of a cultivator. Spider's made out, it's got a spark plug with the porcelain part cut off of it for his body, and then the 8 legs. And 2 little, he don't have any ball bearings on his eyeballs. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got ball bearings for his eyes. And his feet or his legs are rebar. The metal ball bearings on the end of them to make it look more like toes. The back legs are rebar, same process on the feet, but they got a spring up over the back legs to make them look a little thicker, heavier.
One of those garage springs?
Yep. And then the eyes are just a washer with a nut on.
I wondered how he could envision a world of possibilities out of any object, any piece of junk. For to treasure junk is one thing, but to create treasures from junk.
What's that small can on the helicopter? What's that?
It's like a sprayer.
Oh wow.
Bug duster.
Now, how do you figure that as a helicopter?
I just did. Turned it over one day and looked like a helicopter in there.
What do we think about putting together tonight, Rick?
Iguanas.
Rick invited me out one night to see just how the old man from the mountain made art from metal.
Mountains coming home. Thought I'd better warn you, so I called you on the phone. Get rid of Joe the grinder, you better be there alone. The old man from the mountains coming home. I've been working in the sawmill, I'm all uptight and tense. I got to call y'all and let you know today, the old man from the mountains on his way. Yeah, the old man from the mountains coming home. Thought I'd better warn you, so I called you on the phone. Get rid of Joe's grinder, you better be there alone. The old man wanted to... Yeah.
With the iguana finished, Rick decided to move on to his next project, a horseshoe.
Warming up my bed, and the old man from the mountains means what he said. Yeah, the old man from the mountains coming home. Born on the phone, get ready to go grinder, you better be there alone. The old man from the mountains coming home. Wind it up some one more. Yeah, the old man from the mountains coming home. Well, I'd better warn you, so I called you on the phone. Get rid of Joe the grinder, you better be there alone. The old man from the mountains coming home.
It's amazing to think of how much Rick has accomplished with his art. But his animals aren't the only thing Rick's known for. He makes flags one string at a time. He runs a small farm where he raises animals.
Cleans the house.
Clean the house and
Dishes.
Well, he used to cook, isn't that? Used to cook.
I went to the other end of the...
Rick chops and sells wood.
And this year I've sold 125 cord.
That's 125 truckloads of wood.
Worked at the police station for 4 years. We had the restaurant for a couple years. Member of the the Crooks Arts Council.
And he's a published writer. Rick even ran some races in his 20s.
I was running all the time. I was a jogger. And I read in a running magazine someone was running with someone blind, and Rick was single and I was single at the time. So we were sort of hanging out together. He had owned a restaurant at that time, and it was right across from the post office, and I'd go there for lunch. That's how we met. And so I mentioned about somebody running with a blind person. He said, well, I think we could do that. And I was waiting for him to say that. So we rigged up a shoestring between the two of us and we started running. And I had it was a small post office, and I took a 2-hour lunch. I worked still an 8-hour day, but 2 hours for lunch. And we would run on my lunch period, and we'd run 3 miles a day. And then he started. I was entering races, and we would go to a race like these 10K races they have, and I started running with Rick. The first time we went, I couldn't keep up with him. He kept wanting to go. So I just started saying, somebody else help, and somebody came along and ran with Rick, and he finished way ahead of me.
At the time, he was chewing tobacco, and they did a story of him in one of the running magazines, and he said, how often do you see someone running and chewing tobacco at the same time,
And finally, we went to a race in Cambridge, and Rick won 3rd place in his age group. He was fast, and he didn't run like he was blind. He just needed to be elbow to elbow with somebody to run with him. Oh, we ran. One time we ran, and we out the road where Rick lives. He and I used to run out there a lot, and we wouldn't have anything like a shoestring or anything between us. We just run, and he would listen to my footsteps and know where we were, or if we was going around the corner or something, I might bump elbows with him, and we just sort of stayed together that way. But then there was another fellow in town that also ran, and we ran out there together. And it's windy, and we ran and didn't have anything between us. And the other fellow's name was John Collins. And John said, man, Rick, I can't believe how well you can run around these roads. He said, John, I've been doing this, walking out here and running with Ron for so long. He said, I think I could do it blindfolded.
And if it wasn't for Rick, Ron and Alma might not be together.
Yeah, Rick and I were friends, and then we became friends. Yeah. But we used to go take Rick running someplace, and maybe she'd go along with us. And
that's how that gets stuck with you. And I get to sit in the middle.
So it's a changing of seating arrangements every time.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And I think Rick caught on about 2nd or 3rd time.
But Rick's hardest challenge came with raising 2 children as a single parent.
Clint, my son, was born in 85, January 2nd of 85. My daughter was born February 4th of 87. And that was a change from the same day as spring one out. When the kids was only like 1 and 3, 1.5 and 3.5, and for different reasons I ended up with them. Ended up raising the kids. I mean, I got the kids after we got divorced.
Because of what Rick had been able to do, going to college, and just people seeing that he wasn't as handicapped as a lot of people that's not blind or have a handicap. He didn't act handicapped. The court gave him both the kids, and they did that because they knew that we'd be helping too.
And I still, Mom still, she was the main ingredient as far as any support goes. My sister and my brother, everybody would do anything that needed to be done, but with Mom, you didn't ever have to tell her, and you still don't have to ask for help or tell her you need something. She just got it, and she just knows.
And it was really hard, but when he got the little girl, when he got both of them, the little girl was still in diapers. So you can imagine what that was.
He used to come over here with Clint, little bald-headed Clint in a blanket, bringing a diaper, and I was afraid he was going to fall over them big logs out there, but he didn't. He just come right down over there and bring Clint over here, and I changed Clint's diaper, and because you didn't need no dog after you had the kids, did you?
I think because he was handicapped, if he overcompensated in place, it was with the kids, because he wouldn't let them do anything. I mean, when Clint got up to teenage years, he still wouldn't have him mow the grass or taking places. It was like he never put that burden on the kids at all.
Members of Rick's family were not the only ones who helped him raise his children. Crooksville served as a community of parents.
But then there was also, the whole community also watched those kids, and the kids complained about that a lot of times. If they'd be going too fast or something, Rick would get a call. So everybody looked after the kids, and they would tell Rick what was happening.
The city of Crooksville has been, the village of Crooksville has been exceptionally nice with me. Other people too, but myself especially, I think so, because they didn't, as long as we wasn't causing any problems or didn't have any wrecks, we could ride our four-wheelers in town to go to the store or whatever. Just a typical country type of town, I guess.
A lot of people would come and get the kids for Rick if there were school events. He never really was out of transportation in that way. There was always someone helping that way.
I just think he was fortunate maybe that he was in a small community like Crooksville, where everyone knows each other, and like the book Hillary Clinton wrote, that it takes a village to raise a child. So
even with help, Rick and his children were forced to adapt.
He would have Clint walking beside him and Stephanie on his shoulders, and they'd walked from Possum Hollow to Crooksville.
And it got to the point where the one sitting on my shoulder, it just seemed like it just come automatic and came instantaneously almost. Whichever one was on my shoulders would be walking. They had a hold of my head and they'd pull my head like that when you wanted to turn, like a steer guiding a horse or something.
All them kids was driving when they was really.
That's what I was telling him at Stephanie when we first got her four-wheeler. Like, she wasn't even big enough for the first couple of years to ever even reach the gear shift. She had to bend over and pull it up with her hand. People always get a kick out of that, but she's darn little, like a fly on an elephant or something.
Remember when she told you she wanted a new pair of gum boots?
Yeah.
Oh my, I tell you.
Hey, you and Mom must be the only people that even can remember that. Mom told you that the first night we was up at her house, didn't she? About Stephanie wanting gum boots.
Gum boots, yeah. I remember that.
Now gum boots, those are those big.
Just rubber slip-on boots that come up about your knees, but just where she had lived with me and Clint.
And she called them gum, well, that was what you called them.
That's what it's called, but just not what you expect a girl to want. And your grandma calls and says what you need. Gum boots.
One time I went over to Stephanie. They were eating something soup.
She wanted to know what we was having. We said tomato soup.
It was all white in the bowl. And he had told the kids to get the tomato soup out, the red can tomato soup. So they got out a can of pet milk. And it had the same red label.
Had a red label on, so they assumed it was tomato soup. So we opened it up, added a can of milk with it. And
they were eating it for tomato soup, and no one knew the difference.
Everybody liked it.
Let me be your soft dog. I won't be your man dog. But let me be your soft dog. Well, I was up in the wall, was in the wall, and I'm turning behind the wall. Honey, let me be your soft dog. Push the trigger and don't say go, go from Mexico. Honey, let me be your soft dog. Let me be your soft dog. I won't be your man dog. Let me be your soft dog. Let me be your soft dog. I won't be your man dog. I mean, let me be your soft dog. Two old men were sitting in the grass. One's got a finger in the other's ass. Let me be your soft dog. Two old men were sitting in sand. Each one pushing the other's man. Let me be your soft dog. Yeah, go down, let me be your soft dog. I won't let me be your soft dog. Let me be your soft dog. I won't be your man at all. Honey, let me be your soft dog.
The judge, I talked to him 10 years later, and he said, boy, that was a tough decision. He said, I didn't know if I was doing the right thing or not, because he was debating on whether to put the kids up for adoption or let Rick have them. And he said, when I made that decision, I just didn't know if I'd done the right thing. So he's feeling good about himself.
Rick has been able to overcome a lot of adversity in his life, but Rick wouldn't call it adversity, and he wouldn't use the word disability either.
I wouldn't even call it disability. I guess what I like to say instead of disability, like just inconvenience. That's all it is. I mean, disability just makes it sound to me, way too drastic.
There's no doubt that Rick's inconvenience helped make him who he is today.
None of us would want to be shot, and blind, but I don't think Rick would have he would have grown up to be a good person, but he definitely has some unique qualities that I think getting shot has brought out only the good things, in our family. I don't know if we would have been as close, but we definitely don't take certain things for granted, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That maybe other people do.
You can't help somebody that don't want to help herself, I guess what it amounts to. Probably the bottom line.
The animal kingdom Rick creates is almost overwhelming, and he hasn't finished expanding it. With his attention to detail and his ability to create from what others throw away, there is no limit to his vision. Whatever's next will be beautiful, whether eyes are open or closed.
I'm excited about you doing it. I'm glad you're doing it. I guess I'm hoping that when you get done, I'll get a copy of it. It'll be probably wear it out flat. But I think it'd be great for down the road, later on down the road, like show my kids or grandkids or whatever. Because there's right now, if this was flash forward 20 years in the future, it's just going to be, everything's going to be bits and pieces and, just like anything else. And part of what they would hear is going to be true, and a lot of it's going to be what people dreamed up or think might have been true. This will be something, facts, I guess.
For more information about Rick, or how you can get your hands on some of his artwork, please write to Rick Crooks, 10777 Ginsler Road, Crooksville, Ohio, 43731, or email Rick at crooks@localnet.com.